Hey everyone, Irit here, and today I'm sharing, I guess, a bit of a different video. Basically, I'm just sharing with you some of my playtime with the new Daniel Smith paints, well, some of them, and you can see the swatches and a bit more talk about, the pigments and that sort of thing. And some of my thoughts about these in the first impressions video that I made. But this one, I kind of want to show you these in action and also hopefully, manage to kind of give you my thoughts about these. So there you go. There's a close-up at the ones that I have. You can see that the Joseph Z's neutral gray and the Jane's gray are the most granulating ones. And here I kind of kept the footage in the chronological order of me playing with these. And I think my biggest issue with these is that I'm worried. I'm worried that people will just use them as they are and won't mix them with their paints and won't mix their own grays. And of course, I'm laughing because obviously there's nothing wrong with it. But, these grays were created by two artists. Well, 5 of the grays, and then Jane's gray was created by Jane Blundell, who's a watercolor artist that does, I think mostly she does like nature and maybe some urban, like urban painting as well. But I think nature is mostly her thing. And some of the 5 paints, the Joseph, I'm not going to say his last name because I can't pronounce it, and Alvaro Caliente, I want to say, forgive me, I have no idea how to pronounce their names. They mostly do kind of those really impressive, very atmospherical urban drawings. And not exclusively that, but that's mostly what they do. And I think they created these grays with that in mind. And thank you also to Renee and Kimberly, my lovely viewers that also gave some of their thoughts about these in the comments of my first video. And those 2 artists, they use a lot of gray in their work, and they also use a lot of really vibrant, pure colors. You can check them out online and see what I mean. It's easier to just go and look that up. But definitely, the point is that when you combine gray with pure, vibrant color, they kind of help each other stand out and glow. And yeah, my point is you should incorporate these into your own paint and color mixes and not just rely on them to do the work for you. I don't know if that makes sense. I think another point that comes to my mind is when I paint and when I want to add another color or tweak colors in my paintings, I really try to kind of limit the number of pigments. So, for example, if I'm using ultramarine blue and I want to add gray or something else, then usually I will just try to neutralize the ultramarine blue with some orange, burnt sienna type of color or 2 other colors from my palette. But if I did want to use a gray from a tube, I would try to use something that already has ultramarine blue in it and not, for example, another blue pigment or a mixture of pigments. Now, again, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but from what I've seen, what I've read, what I have learned about color harmony and color theory, you get a more harmonious look, I guess, if you kind of keep to the same pigments throughout your color choices. Now, I have said it in the past, I have no official traditional art education. I am completely self-taught and I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. I myself am not sure how I feel about these and how I will incorporate them into my own work. Also, I have to say that I'm a little bit nervous sharing this video because, as you can see, I'm doing these really kind of weird, sketchy faces. And I don't think I've really shown this on my channel, but I've been doing these a lot. I've been really kind of obsessed with them. And yeah, and for some reason, I'm just a little bit nervous to share this because I feel also kind of insecure about these. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. And it's very different from all the other things you've seen me do here. But I've been loving painting these really loose, sketchy faces. Drawing faces is something that is a recurring theme for me. As a teenager, that's mostly what I drew. Well, that and the Guns N' Roses logo for me and all my friends. But I used to do a lot of portrait, a lot of just like, kind of fantasy, almost like doll-like faces. And then when I was a little bit older, I remember doing Keanu Reeves and Denzel Washington portraits, in pencil and graphite and that sort of thing. So I have painted faces a lot. I have learned kind of the basic anatomy. And then in my later attempt at art, after the decade-long break that I took, I've also gone back to it and, following people like Jane Davenport and many other artists, Dina Wakley, I do love her style. So it's not something that is completely new to me, but it is something I find very, very challenging. And while I can paint faces in many styles, definitely more realistic, I prefer the very sketchy look. And I'm just trying to figure out how to make it my own, how to make it look interesting, not flat, not too simple. I don't know. It's been a journey. It's been a challenge, but it's been also a lot of fun. So this video is not about my faces. I'm just saying that just to share with you a little bit of my current stage in my art journey. But let's go back a little bit to the faces. So I'll just start from what I'm doing now. And in each of these faces, I started actually with one of the new grays that I have. And then I started just adding them. But the point was just to see how these work. And I'm not saying that this is like the best way to test these out. It's definitely a good way for me because it's actually painting with them. And for me personally, that's how I like to get to know my paints. I don't do very, like very detailed swatches of like lifting and layering and all that stuff because I never go back to swatches. I just want to get to know the paints, my paints, by painting with them. And then usually as I paint with them, I realize which ones I like and for what reason I like them. So in that sense, this was good practice. But yeah, definitely a lot. Definitely I will need to add these to my other palettes and see how they play with my other paints is what I'm trying to say. So the face on the left side is made with the Alvaro Caliente gray, which I have to say it has the best name of all of them. I mean, let's be real, Caliente is just such a pretty word. And this was actually the surprise, I think. I think I actually liked this one the most. I find the different values, the way that it looks when it's very light and very dark, I find it very, very appealing. Something about it just really spoke to me. And I think at the end of this session, this was really my favorite paint. Just the way that it looked. And I didn't really feel that when I was swatching it. So next up, going to the direction right, that little face there on the left page is with Jane's Gray, which is a beautiful paint. and one you can very easily mix create your own version of it by mixing ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. This is the type of gray that I used to like. I mean, I still really like it, but that's kind of most of the grays and neutrals in my stash and in my palettes that I use the most are more on the bluish side, the purplish side, that kind of thing, as opposed to more brown and warm. But I have to say, I'm definitely enjoying also the warmer browns. And I think from these four, probably the Caliente gray is actually, it's probably the warmest. It's a tough call between that and the Joseph warm one. But yeah, I'm really loving them because I don't feel they're not too brown. I can deal when I don't have yucky brown. I'm just kidding. No offense to anyone who likes brown. I like brown also. So next up, we have on the right page, on the left side, is the Joseph Z's neutral gray. This one has a beautiful granulation, and I really liked the description that Joseph Z gave it, which it gives that look of vintage photos and charcoal, and I really agree with that. It is beautiful. You know, now I'm just, as I'm narrating, I'm also looking at these faces from up close. And yeah, this is another beautiful gray. I love the granulation. It has ultramarine blue in it, I think. Yeah, it does. And the granulation is beautiful. Again, I think these grays really shine when you use the different values of them. I mean, when you use them in full intensity, and then you also get these like soft washes. They're really beautiful. You can see some close-up shots at the end of this video. And then the last one on the right is the Joseph Z Warm Gray. And this one, I think just, I don't know, speaks to me the least from the selection here. I gotta say, yeah, the Caliente Gray and the Joseph Z's Neutral Gray, I think those are my favorites for the reasons that I mentioned. And also, you can see that I added here and there some of the Gray Titanium. I love that color. I think it just adds a lot to all these neutrals. It has that kind of vintagey color to it. And I don't know, I think that's a really bad description. But I absolutely love it. It's, you know, it's kind of dirtier than buff titanium, which is more yellow and kind of a happier, creamy, dirty color. And this one is really grayish. And yeah, I'm just showing you here some close-up on some semi-neutrals and neutrals that I mixed from my own paints. And yeah, just going back to that complexity of color that you can get if you mix your own neutrals and gray neutrals. But all in all, I loved playing with these. I really enjoyed it. You can see some close-ups. Please, you know, share your thoughts in the comments. This is not, you know, a video of this is what I think and you should listen to me. Not at all. Just sharing my thoughts with you, and I would love to hear yours as well. Thank you for watching. Bye.